Casey's here, Pat's here, Robin's here, Donna's here, Doug's here. Sue Effany is here, and the new superintendent, Michael Wilson, is here. If you don't know him, he's right there.
In the flesh.
Take a look at him. He'll have a number under his chest soon, but that'll be okay. You want to pass this down to Jeff?
Yeah, great.
Jeff Ray? Jeff is here in the building.
Gary's supposed to dialect.
Okay. Dan is here, Dave's here, Amy's here, Kim's here. We have John Jenny, John Jenny,
Say hello, John.
John, that, remember, BL companies, all the reports. We'll have you do your reports later, but this is John. He's not a figment of our imagination. He's right here. Then we have Ally, and we have Jeff Putnam, and of course, Rissa, who is saving our lives.
She's our minute taker.
We also have John Grezio.
Oh, John Grezio, I'm sorry.
You can forget about me.
No. John.
You know, we're gonna pay for you, so.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
John is tech person. That's why he's high. I shouldn't say that. He's young.
Smart.
Tech. Yeah.
Fiona's in Nashville.
Yes.
Document specialist by
Okay.
proper time.
Have a motion to approve the agenda. Pat, second, John. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of minutes is one change. Instead of Mr. Kemp, that must be somebody else. It's Mr. Morhard, Morhardt.
Hey, you got it right.
No, I wrote it, I checked my emails. So I have motion to approve the minutes with that change. Donna? Second? John, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? I opposed. Okay, public participation, public. Jeff, public, no, okay. Dan and John, you got it.
Good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Had a couple of good walkthroughs earlier this week. A lot of people got to physically see the progress on the site. I see from Ed's packet, he's got the photographs, monthly update photographs to help you understand and get some visuals if you weren't able to walk through with us earlier. In your packet again is our project commentary and cost and schedule. So I'll just run through commentary a little bit. If everybody remembers the areas of the building, I think we're all getting pretty familiar with the building. Beginning with our construction sequence in area D. I think my report speaks to the CMU backup walls that face Route 8. We're going up at the end of the month. They are now up, and we actually topped out the brick veneer on that elevation today. Work within area D on the interiors does not follow the same sequence, so we won't be doing much of that going forward. So with that, the next activity, the mason will break down and move his equipment. Actually started that today to start the veneer on area B. Again, the commentary speaks of for area B at the end of the month. We were framing up through the second and third floor. That's now long since been completed, and now they've moved over to the first floor of area A. Mechanicals continue to go in area B. We have now ductwork complete through the lower level, first floor, second floor, and third floor. Duct delivery has now occurred on first floor area A. Fire protection piping, same sequence, same timing. Hydronic piping is the last guy that's working in there, as well as the plumber. And so in area B, he's tied in all the roof drains. He's roughed his plumbing partially, I'd say about 40% on the lower level. And he's almost about 80% on the first floor and moving up to level 2. Hydronic piping, a lot of big pipe on the lower level. So A lot of big pipe has been delivered, and the smaller pipe, the copper pipe, 2 inch and under, is moving through the second and third floor, first floor and second floor, excuse me, of Area B. Let's see, so as you recall, our sequence on interiors goes from B third floor down to A1. So down on A1, the framer has started his priority wall framing down there and is working in tandem with the ductwork. Speaking to the exterior of the building, the photo taken here was, I think, the last week of June 27th or 8th. We now have that green gypboard material completed on the outer radius, as we call it, all the way over to Area A. On the inside courtyard, framing is complete through Area B, and gypboard is about 60–70%. So the framers teams have moved forward on the outer radius of Area A. He's moving right along. He's probably only got about 4 or 5 days left before his gyp sheathing starts over there. And he's about 70–80% on the courtyard side. So where we had some stumbling initially with the cold floor framing and getting details worked out, he's now progressing rapidly and moving around the structure. Following behind the gypboard is the AVB. That's the spray process and sealing all the joints on the exterior that leads to brick veneer. And so he's followed behind, beginning with the the northernmost area of Area B, what is already green in this picture. He's finished detailing that. He's got a little bit left to do with the roof, but he's just about finished with that. And he will be spraying that, the overcoat of everything. He sprays that tomorrow. Got to get ahead of the weather coming in late tomorrow. And as I mentioned, the mason is setting up his mobile scaffold system or hydrolifts on the lower level of B to begin the ground face block. Let's see, I don't get my notes well enough. Area C in the center in the auditorium. Structural steel is up, structural steel is detailed, decking's down. The only thing left to do on Area C is come back to adjust and weld off the brick relieving angles that are on the courtyard side of that building. In Area E and F, structures up. Last month, in the month of June, we placed the last of our elevated slabs. And the current activity over there is the fireproofer is working his way through the second level framing. And the steel lintels, again, are adjusted and welded ahead of cold form framing, which will move from Area to A over to Area E. So the exterior shell, that's where we had a couple of stumbles in the wet weather we had over the past month. Too much rain, frankly. And it came at a bad time, only in the sense that we were preparing to get the gyp sheathing up to the roof and the parapets built in order to roll the roof. And the impacts we've had has put a damper on that. And so we did get there now. The roofing contractor is loaded the roof and now coming with his workforce next week, so that we have roof planned for next week. We should be rolling through and have about a 14-day sequence before they roll membrane over what is all of A and B, all around the horseshoe. So without looking at my notes, that's what I threw at you.
You want to just tell them that the staircase is in, so that,
Oh, yes.
Are we doing a walkthrough photos here?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
To Ed's comment, we placed the first set of stairs that goes from the lower level all the way to the roof level. And and that allowed us to pull down the temporary stair and close up the building in that spot. So, John Carrizio, who I mentioned is our project engineer by title, document specialist, manages the transfer of information between ourselves, all of our trade contractors, and back and forth to the owner. He's here to share with you what we do on our periodic basis of walking around the project site to give you a graphic of the same.
Absolutely. So we've spoken to this before. It's open space. It's software that takes a three-dimensional camera. 360-degree and stitches together sidewalks that we do with a camera on our helmets. So you guys can not only see what's going on site, but compare it to the past and how the construction is actually progressing for us. So in this initial spot, let's see if I can get in there. I'll bring into the courtyard. And this is actually July 13th, so about a week ago. You can see some of the progression, as Dan was speaking to that green board on the outside, which is starting to close in our building. We have progressed a little bit farther, but you can see that the interior radius, where my cursor is certainly, has started up. In addition to most of our framing through that area, which is your radius down towards this. As we move along, we go to the outside. Again, B is our progressed area. Best spot.
So that's a fireproofing rig. That rig remains on the pond side of the building, awaiting the roof to go on, and then he will spray the fourth floor. He sprayed up through 3, but it can't spray the roof level of the fourth floor until the roof membrane goes down.
So again, progressing over, you'll see that we're starting to temporarily fill in some of our windows. Bottom floor, we have our plywood, and as we go up, plastic coating. Again, that's just to keep the water out. This area where you see all plywood is actually going to be a curtain wall system, so it's all glass from the ceiling. So for the time being, before we get those, we fill those in so that we're keeping as much water out as we can.
And those are where we load the upper floors. So those are big plywood doors. And that's, because it's a curtain wall, it's the best place to leave a leave out so that we can get materials in and out.
So if we compare this, I believe I was here around April the last time. Just to kick back a few months and give you. See if we can go there. See how good my tech skills are. I'd like to say I know one tech.
No pressure, John.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. You handed yourself a call.
That. Looking at. Is the interior courtyard. Lock the two. Now you can start seeing, so about 3 months ago, this is the stage we were at.
Wow.
So. Area A was about halfway under construction by the steel contractor. Area B was about getting tied up.
Yep, no roof deck or no floor decks on there yet.
Still, obviously, they're giving some of the foundations for the auditorium. Let alone any of the steel. As we keep going, you see where all that lines up.
Right, before we
Ian, we're not
slabs.
even there.
Yep. Absolutely. So, in about 3 months, we were not only able to pour all these slabs, in addition to put up all the steel, but you see that our framing gets started and is pretty progressed as we're speaking. So with that being said, I'll bring it a little deeper and we'll start going into some of the floor plans just to show you what's going on inside of the building. Only one.
John, are we doing the walks? Is it like every couple weeks? There's a walk?
So we're doing multiple a week, obviously with a building this size. And luckily I have an intern right now who loves to go walk around on site. We're trying to get, I would say, each area by floor. So area B, floor 1, for example, every 2 weeks, to the best of our ability. It's difficult just knowing that it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to walk one section. So just time wise, it doesn't work out. So to the best of our ability, I'm focusing on where the work is right now, where it's progressing the best. So we take some initial baseline walkthroughs of, like, say, area D, your kitchen, when it was just a slab, so that we can report back to it, compare back to it. So at the time being, I'm focusing more on areas A and B, in which we can see the flow of work that Dan described, how we work from the bottom of area B all the way up, and then area A doing the same. So with a few of these, we can actually show the progression of work by walking through the actual site based on where we are. So this is actually the 3rd floor, what would be area B. from what you can see, a lot of the green board is on outside. Most of the studies are laid out and you can get the gist of a basic classroom or room framed out what the layout's going to be. So we picked it up. Let's say the 4th floor. It'll be pretty similar. This is an older one, just because it jumped back a little bit. Not, that was just yesterday. To which you'll see the exterior chipboard is up, moving along. I should say sheathing. And it's a lot more open, again, because our drywall contractor has switched to trying to close in this building more than set up the initial layout throughout.
Right, and the 4th floor is where we need to put the roof membrane on that metal deck before we can come in and spray all those beams and the underside of the metal structure. And we need to do that work before we put partitions in the way. So that's really the motivation for why our flow goes from the 3rd floor down to 1. It allows the 4th floor to get through its structural phase before we start partitioning out.
Either one of you want to tell how you lay out the partitions? There was a robot that was. doing the
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned that so because of the radius walls, new technology was utilized where we take the CAD files that are generated from the building plans. Those CAD files can get uploaded to what looks like a vacuum robot. And that vacuum robot has paint capabilities and lays out on the floor where the walls go. And it also identifies to the drywall contractor, if there's a particular wall that takes 2 layers of drywall on one side and only one on the other. So it gives them that information, and then it identifies the door number, which is also the room number. So it's quite a good piece of technology. We did utilize it for all of the radio portions of the building, but as the drywall contractor, still had to have manpower watching the piece of equipment work. As we moved to the straight runs of area A, they found it cost effective to do it the good old fashioned way and use measuring tapes, snap lines, and paint. But it is good technology for complicated buildings. We have more and more buildings come in with angles that are not 90 degrees and radiuses. So where that came into play, it worked out really well.
And quickly on the screen, it's not the best view. So this orange line, what you're saying is our contractor actually sprayed down between the thinner lines that are created by this printer. Not great to see on the screen, but there's a basic layout. I can tell
Yeah, those little black lines are the paint that comes out of the robot. And then just so they don't get lost, they use that orange paint just to highlight the center line of the wall. And that makes it easier going down the road when, a month from now, they'll still need to find the edges of that black mark.
Wrap it up. Give you a quick view. Level. It's not this one. Better one.
So I mentioned the interior trades. I don't know if I elaborated enough, but we've got, 80% of the partitions in, we put in so that we can get that much framing in without impacting ductwork and mechanical piping. But we don't put in 100% because that slows down the mechanical trades. There's just too many partition walls involved. So that sequence goes through, then the mechanicals go through, and then it's not Monday, but a week from Monday that we will send the drywall trade back into the floor. He'll frame every wall and every stud goes in, which is necessary for the electrical trade to come through and pull wire. So our next critical path here is we're going to roll the roof, and that creates the dry environment that allows us to go to that next step where we frame and then begin electrical rough. So there you're looking at the interior of our electrical one. Not to steal your thunder there, John.
So what we're looking at are what we call housekeeping tags. It's a 3 or 4 inch wide or deep pad that keeps your larger equipment, your boilers, all that fun stuff off the ground in case there was some water that leaked off there. It just keeps them a little safer. So these have been poured. They were laid out and poured by our coordination team and by our general trades team. So this is all concrete pad now with some more rough things starting. Not the best pictures just because we have these bright construction lights that kind of blur off our camera, but you can see that some light has started to you come from the ceiling area. We go out the main corridors, you got your bigger pipe remains coming out.
Bigger pipe puts it. Doesn't gravity, doesn't provide the action, the impact. We have 10-inch hydronic piping that leaves the boiler room and runs down that corridor on what are known as large crevices. The piping you're looking at there is an 8-inch bulk main that is fire protection piping. So the pipe on the left's only 8-inch. We have 4 10-inch in the hallway.
That's what these hangers are. That's your basic size of that pipe.
Oh, there, yeah, even in the hallway, you'd see even
Oh.
bigger crevices.
Down the line. Go. If I'm not mistaken, this would be the construction technology classroom.
See the plywood exterior, yep. Yep, so we
Over that
just,
door.
we left that opening to get that large pipe into the building. It's, we needed, these are 20-foot lengths of 10-inch diameter pipe. They'll be downstairs for better part of a month, hanging the mains down that corridor.
That's the state of the lower level at the moment. Like duct and everything are kind of feeding from there. It's really the heart of your building. And we have branch lines going out. That's been a big push by the trades right now. Other than that,
Yep, no, the cadence through the interiors is good. We have a 2-week cadence where the ductwork delivery for A1 earlier this week, and then 2 weeks from that, we'll go to level 2. And then, as I described, the team falls back to start the remaining framing. Won't be Monday, it'll be the following Monday. We've imported a lot of earthwork over the last month as well. I didn't mention that. The courtyard, if you recall, was down about, from that photograph, it was about 4 feet lower. So in concert, we're doing a dance with all the lift activity that has to be in the courtyard. They've been hauling it, essentially raising the grade almost to, we're about 2 feet from finished grade now. That grade establishment has to happen so that we have the remaining utilities that come out of the building and head to the east towards Major Bessie Drive. We need the rough grade to be approximate before we can install those utilities. See, I didn't dwell on site work, but on the west side of the building, all of the storm system has been tied in. It goes now off to the heavy culverts that go out towards Route 8. The sanitary connection on the west side is complete. Sanitary connection out of the east side actually tied in yesterday. So we're all set with sanitary coming out of the building. And looking ahead, we're going to continue that dance as we have to bring the electrical utilities across the courtyard and then bring in the power. Power started today from the other side of Major Bessie Drive. So one of the things I was going to bring up in the cost and schedule impact part is the last meeting I briefly discussed that the intersection of where Major Bessie Drive takes a hard right. The physical elevation of that today is about 5 feet lower than where that future elevation needs to be. And so where I had seen that in pre-construction, I didn't have that magnitude of how that impacted the job. What we need to do is raise that grade so that we can bring permanent utilities into this area as well as tie out to Major Bessie Drive. So through some negotiation with Fucci and the site work contractor, we've gotten to a value, and we're now going to take and increase the size of the site. If you were to head down the road and go further towards Winthrop, the current configuration of Major Bessie Drive will turn right, not as a hard 90, but as a sweeping turn so that it maintains just a continuous flow of traffic and run through the construction laydown area. So that, and then tie back into Major Bessie Drive about halfway up the hill, about where the digital sign is currently. What that allows us to do physically on site is build out that intersection earlier than planned. The way I had put together the initial logistics plan, I had that work not happening until the summer of 2024. What doing it earlier allows us to do is to tie into the permanent utilities. The permanent power comes from our far east neighbor along the pole line that's at the back of that, or at the wood line. Sanitary, I mentioned, went across Major Bessie Drive already. Most of you know, we shut down Major Bessie Drive and now we're starting to tear it up while building the new Major Bessie Drive. So what it does to the school population is a slight benefit in that those curves are not quite as sharp as the ones we've had over this current school year. They'll be slighter, they'll be gentler. The road will be a little bit wider, a foot wider. And it's a little bit more queue. So as far as the number of cars, there'll be a couple of more cars that can fit on that driveway as they queue in September. That scope of work is underway. They've just gotten started on it, and it will be in place for, as the big sign says, as you enter the project site, it's finished for 8:15. So we will be back in running order for start of the school year. So the other thing I'll quickly mention is on the cost and schedule report, which again is in your packet, so you can read it at your leisure. The first item is there's really no change to the value engineering. We're settling in at the value that we had previously. So the 278K shortfall now has been incorporated in the cost report values that Ed gets to review and compare his notes to. Left on the VE is just paint and acoustical sealing. We have to ink those two changes and then we'll close that out. Building alignment has now been brought to close. We're prepared to submit the PCO. Not a big, huge item, it's 29K. The detention basins, last month, we worked through some issues with the changes in the detention basin and then we hit ledge. And so unfortunately, it threw those designs out and we had to go with yet another set of designs. There's now 3 detention basins. They're somewhat smaller in overall total volume and total area of work. But there's more cost impact because we're digging in 3 spots and some of the materials had to be reordered. Some of the cast concrete structure had to be replaced. So working through the negotiation on that, I've carried a number of 80,000. I think it's a worst case scenario, but that's how my cost report looks. When I hand my numbers to Ed, I want to make sure that I'm projecting a value that would be a worst case scenario. That'll come to closure. We just got the 3rd design approved today. So now that I have all 3 designs, I can continue to negotiate what those hard costs really are and get to a best and final number. Not much change. We had the corridor framing, still waiting on one cost to get the number inked. I've upgraded my savings. I remember Mario commenting last month, the 17K. We've had a change to the auditorium, which I think you guys are aware of. We talked about last month, so that's over 20K. So I've listed it here. There is a kind of an expensive cost for adding a receptacle, 2 receptacle, and a data port out in the courtyard area for use for the AV projection screen. For those who don't maybe recall, straight ahead of us on the front end of that auditorium is a flat projection screen area. And so what we realized we didn't have is a plug in the nearby vicinity or raceway for potential data out there. So I mentioned that one, and then the big one, the new Major Bessie Drive. Also in the report is a new way of sharing with you how we're doing schedule-wise. So it's not something easily described as far as, without having it and spending some time on it. But what it does provide you is a quick look at how many days were in the original contract, how many days we've had done or are behind us, how many days are in front of us, and the percentages of work in place. And then it identifies in table form the milestone dates for completion of areas. And so going forward, we'll be looking to see as those milestone dates. Currently, our earliest areas of delivery show in mid-April. And you all recall, we're not finished until December. But we're going to put in furniture ahead of that, so really, we're doing okay schedule-wise. We have some time left in our schedule to handle hiccups that come forward. But we are working together to determine when your best delivery dates for FF and ER. Your furniture will come out as packages for like classrooms, so we'll have to have all of area A, all of area B classrooms. There's a few classrooms in area C. We're probably looking at a mid-August, late August first deliveries. Which puts you in, comfortable position for something else that's mentioned in here, which is pulling back our date from the end of February to the end of January.
What we're looking at is, and we spoke to the principal, because the finals end like the second week in January. So he can schedule everybody to go in right after that. So that's why we pulled back the dates to have the kids come in the second week of January when the midterms are finished. So he doesn't have to reschedule all the rooms. He does it once and it's done. So we've agreed to that.
Right, so there's a shorter duration for the actual move of students. So there's some logistics that have to be worked out as far as, a lot of pre-work has to be done, a lot of boxing has to be ready. But because it lands on the term end, you wouldn't be sending kids to start 2 or 3 weeks in particular classrooms in the existing building when the kids and the student population could go to a permanent path of travel, know where their classes are. And then you'll have your typical February break, which is only a few days. So what we're analyzing now is how that impacts the end game for us, which is the period of time that we have for punch listing. And then the turnover of furniture and turnover of my space to allow for furniture to come in. I keep looking at Amy because furniture now is the process. They're finalizing the bid documents for that. And then they'll be going to the state and I'll leave you to speak to that kind of stuff. So it's a table form that now we've created. You'll be able to see month to month what it was this month and how it is going forward. But I just wanted to make sure I took any concern over my comment that the exterior didn't move as fast. We've lost in the sense we didn't progress as rapidly on the exterior of the building, which didn't allow the roof, which is a critical path. So the last page of that cost and schedule describes the critical path. Currently, there are 2 critical paths running through the project schedule. They're almost in parallel. There's only about a week difference between the 2. One is on the exterior because it drives the start of electrical work and start of drywall to follow, which leads to the finishes. And the other is the mechanical work, which has to go through the building and get all the way through. I've linked activities such that they finish in the auditorium. In other words, I know the auditorium is always our last area of delivery. By forcing all the mechanical trades to run through that sequence and end there, and know that I still have enough time to go from installing the overhead ductwork within the auditorium to getting to auditorium finishes. The final date for current turnover for the completion of the auditorium is October 23rd. So we're still roughly 5 weeks in advance of when we would be, contractually December 1st, turning over the project. So that's it for cost and schedule. Overall health again, we're now at 27% construction complete. The amount of changes are still negligible compared to where we are overall. I don't think there's another big hit coming to the CM contingency. The big one was this one. We really thought long and hard about the value added by providing this alternative driveway to the school. And, in addition to just the physical constraints of putting in utilities without having the rough grade of that intersection complete, the overall site and the amount of manpower and the amount of storage is getting tighter and tighter. And we're gonna be continuing to do site work. It's gonna make it more difficult. Trades, we just need a little bit more room to move materials around while we bring all the utilities from essentially where that auditorium sits. Now we're coming out through that courtyard with all of the utilities to power up the school and bring water into the school and again, difficult nut for me to swallow, but it's really the best, most successful, and it's something we didn't identify until we got, into the documents and into the construction and into the phasing with the trades to where we are now. So that said, really, our current value in the CM contingency is still $3,156,000. Which means we used, not even 10% of that. Any questions as to what's going on? Or what's gonna happen? We're going to, I didn't mention the little gate over at Daily Drive. There's a couple things called S2 nodes that have finally come in after literally 9 months of waiting. And so we're now able to finish the card reader, and school will now be able to open that gate from the central office, push a button, the gate opens. And we can program a schedule to the gate that comes out of the school security system, not a local scheduler that we put in the gate to make it operational 6 months ago.
And that's the last item we need to close out phase one. Right?
Yes, we'll do that. There's a punch list to put through. And then again, that work will happen over the summer. And we have some other improvements that we're doing along Daily Drive against the embankment. Just picking up some storm drainage that was added to the project. Again, all that work will occur prior to our 8/15. We're calling 8/15 our due date, drop dead date. That's when students return for really the significant number of students return for athletic programs. So let's all pray for some better weather.
Any other questions? Dan? Thanks. And you have all of BL Company's report. We have John here if he wants to make some comments.
Sure. For those of you that have read the reports, just a little bit of background on them. It's basically a snapshot of what I see when I'm out there. I try to get out there once a week, at least. At critical times, I'll get out there more often. And as the building progresses, I'll get out there more as walls go up and so forth. So it's a snapshot of what I see. Walk the building. I'll meet with O&G, attend the owner contractor meetings, participate in those, meet with SLAM, help resolve any issues. Look for anything that looks strange, work it out with O&G. It's what's refreshing is if you notice in the reports, besides the snapshots of what's going on, there are issues that may arise. And I'm very happy to report that the number of issues is minimal. Typically on a project like this, there's 30 or 40 items on this in these reports by this point in time. But I think the team that's on this project is doing a wonderful job between the design team, the construction team, the owner. They're very proactive. Things are getting resolved quickly. Looking forward, as you talked about the roadway, looking into that. I think by being forward looking, the number of items that we're finding are small. So, and even the ones that are in this report are minor. So I'm encouraged by the progress of the work. I'm encouraged by the quality of the work. And I see no reason why it's not going to continue.
John's been great help to Mario and I.
Sure has.
And yeah, again, we've learned a lot of lessons on owner's rep, what we want from somebody. So we appreciate John. Any questions for John? Okay. Kemp, you want to make some statements before? Yeah, okay. Kemp has want to make some statements.
All right, so it's with heavy heart that I have to tell you that Amy Samuelson is moving on from SLAM. They'll trust in Holly for so many years. That's an opportunity that you couldn't pass up. And so we have a transition plan in place for budget management on this project. Where I will be taking on a role in the immediate, being supported by the team. The rest of the team will remain as currently is. And so I will be the project manager. I'll be here at meetings every month to report on whatever needs to be reported on from our side. And be taking point on any issues that arise. Need my attention.
And we still have
So
Amy.
we wish her well. We have Amy for 2 more days.
I think Mary and I, we work well with Amy. We've done a lot of calls, right? You asked for a lot of information.
Yeah.
And we're gonna miss you, Amy, and we appreciate everything you've done.
That's for
The building committee and the city of Torrington. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We'll come back and see the building when it's done.
I will be monitoring very closely.
Still got the webcam.
Good luck in your next event.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. Some committees are actually a pleasure to come and meet with them.
And where
This is one of them.
Well,
I don't say that at every meeting.
So we made your decision harder.
It did. Well, what's very, I mean, if you don't mind me speaking for a second, what was a very, very hard decision for me was that I'm sort of stepping away from a project related role. So my role is more managerial and more of a firm-wide position for another pretty good big company. But that not to be on a day-to-day on a project was really something that I had to think long and hard about. I love being an architect. And so that's still gonna be a part of my day, but not the everyday. So it'll be interesting.
It's always open.
Thank
Thursdays at 5.
And you're good hands where you're going.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
You'll be missed.
Yes, absolutely. Next one, phase 1 and 2 application and certificate of payment. You have it in front of you. All the list of the amounts and who's getting what. So can I have a motion to approve the payment of $6,656,135.09. That second. Second, John. Any discussion?
It's
Oh, sorry.
just silly, but since this is a detailed project, I don't know if it matters or not, but the last item, is it listed A through E or,
Oh, okay, that's my.
okay,
No,
I just didn't, I'm probably.
he was the
OCD about
last
that, but
one. So when
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Redefining the alphabet.
I just didn't know if you get submitted to the state or,
No, that was just when I'm typing.
perfect,
I didn't look at the last one.
perfect.
Lawyers.
I know, it's a,
They got an eye.
Yeah,
it's a curse.
no, it just when I saved it as and
Completely understandable and
no,
doesn't have to be corrected if it doesn't matter either. I just didn't know if it got submitted to the state. I didn't want it to.
This is for the committee's benefit.
Yeah, gotcha.
You were so diplomatic.
They get a copy of that.
Oh, embarrassed now.
No,
You have a good eye for details.
yes,
Following it out.
yeah. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye, opposed. Next one, we have 3 PCOs. You want to go over? Then we'll go to the first one is really buyout of the stage flooring.
Right, if you recall, actually, this one went through initially over, in which I was called to task by the general trades contractor, who said that he really didn't have to give back his overhead and profit on the value of the stage. What we did is we bought the stage through the general trades contractor. And then when I went to shop drawing phase and identified items that he didn't care. And so then I said, okay, well, I'll get a better price from somebody else. So I went to the flooring contractor, who has under contract the gym floor contractor, who provides these type of floors also quite frequently. And his lump sum cost was better than what we got from the general trades. So we got initially, it was about a $15,000 savings. And then the general trades called me to task and said, I don't have to give back my overhead and profit. I gave you a bad number initially. And I agreed, then fair is fair. So that's why I'm resubmitting. And it's again, roughly about 3,000 less savings than we had previously.
And the next one is the realignment, and it's coming out of CM's contingency.
So there's our hit to the CM contingency as I described.
And the last one is detention test pits that we had to do to see if
Where we could fit the new design.
Yeah.
Where there was over on the Route 8 side of the existing gym was where that large detention basin was supposed to go. It turns out that that existing gym is actually sitting on ledge. The foundations for that gym bear down on ledge. And everything towards Route 8 from that particular location was shallower ledge than what we could accommodate to carry the volume of water that was to be detained there. So we spent some money to do the exploratory work to figure out how to redesign the system.
So where are they from? One over there near the,
So there's a
loading docks, right?
small one over there still
Yeah.
on the Route 8 side.
Yeah.
Currently between the new school and the existing school, there's where that loop is, that's where detention basin number 3 is. And detention basin number 2, the original location, just slightly different configuration, is at the end of the new high school. Where you walk in across the new high school.
Yeah.
It's not quite under the parking lot area of what would be the parking for that entry.
can I have a motion to approve 55R1, 62, 63? Donna, thank you. Have a second? Oh, yeah, John, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Next, just updated the apprentice, just let you know, we have 9 apprenticeship kids on the program. We have 2 working for Daly, we have 2 working for the drywall, we have 1 who's working for the general welding. We have 2 for the masons, we have 2 for the island spray, and we have 2 for the electricians. So we have 9 Torrington kids, usually 19 to 23, on the job.
We're probably working at a restaurant last year.
Right, and if you look at one of them, I think he was making $19.63 an hour for 40 hours. He was taking home over $500, you know, and then one of them was taking more because he had overtime on Saturday. So because I get the payrolls, so it's
So you know anybody else who wants to
Yeah.
come to work?
Yeah.
We're all
yeah, just let you know again, when I
join the union.
last time, there are about 16, they're looking through 16 applications. And Yolanda Rivera was great. I will contact her after Monday, the 24th. I hope all is well. I just want you to know that we have scheduled our next construction readiness training program for Torrington residents to begin Monday, July 24th. The 1-week course will be held in Pomfret. Labor unions trainees will have the option of staying in campus with housing and food provided at no cost. My staff has already began the communication with everyone that has expressed interest in pursuing a career in construction field by entering a unionized registered apprenticeship training program. So we'll know. I'll call her after July 24th. see how many kids, it's just great, so. It's the island guys, Elvis and his cousin, they work 4 10-hour days, so it's. I think it's amazing. I don't know if anybody.
And we're averaging now about 105 people on personnel on site a day.
So. Can't beat it, you know, anything you want to say?
About that, it's
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean, hopefully we keep that pace going and there's gonna be a whole lot of kids and families who are gonna stay in Torrington. Buy homes and so on and so forth.
It's
So what
great.
they're doing is wonderful, but how much to be proud of, right? Even when it's finished. And every time
Absolutely.
They drive by it, they can say to their
Yeah.
kids someday, I'm
Yeah.
gonna build that.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Yeah, it's-
We say that, they say so what?
Yeah, right. But he got a 21-year-old saying exactly, it's a little different, saying it to his grandmother, you know, it's unbelievable. I really love it. It's my goal is to get 100 kids.
Yeah, well,
Persistence is paying off.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Yolanda, I should give her credit too. You know, she gets all the names, she starts everything and.
Yeah.
Great. So hopefully, when they have graduation, whoever it is, we'll have Yolanda here in September to have the kids. And, it's great. Okay, next,
You have to
sorry,
all in favor.
oh. It's just a report.
Oh, which
No,
one?
for the payments. I mean, for the,
PCOs.
yes,
Oh, yeah, so we had it.
no, we were still discussing.
No, you got a first and a second.
Oh, got a first and second, I'm sorry. Donna, first, John, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Sorry,
He's
that's why we hire you.
all these girls, man, they keep us.
That's why I make the big box.
I know. Okay, next, slam, payment for $67,625. Can I have a motion? Pat, second. Robin? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed. Next one, innovative engineering, $1,773.09. Have a motion for approval. John, second.
Thanks.
Donna? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed. Next one, tri-state. For $5,262.50. Have a motion for approval. Pat? Second? Second, Donna. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? B and L, remember, with this bill, it's about 5 weeks of work. And he's averaging about 7.8 hours a week. Remember, we had 10 hours a week budgeted, so we appreciate John's attention to everything. $9,009. Have a motion for removal of BL companies. Robin? Second, okay. Casey? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, next, good of the order. Jeff,
Amy, best of luck. We've gotten to know you over the years, way back in the beginning of the project.
Thank
We
you
appreciate all you do. Best of luck.
very much.
Doug,
Yes, same. Thank you, Amy.
Donna,
But same, and we'll miss you and just appreciate the
Thanks.
articulation and the calmness when we've had kind of some, not that we've had very much controversy, but the explanations have been great and wonderful. We'll miss you. Happy to have John here today. This is great work there. And Dan, great tour this week as well. And John, thank you for today.
I appreciate everybody's interest and just positive approach to the job. It's really refreshing, enlightening, or invigorating for me.
John,
Like Amy said earlier, there are good groups of people on projects and there are bad groups of people on projects. And I'll tell you, this is so far from what I've seen between the building committee and the construction design teams, you've got a winner here. So I'm happy to be part of it.
Case,
Second everything about Amy. Amy, we're gonna miss you.
Thank you.
You know, if we get together a bad dog again, you have to join us or something.
oh, yeah, yeah,
He was digging that.
Well,
And also,
that
it
was
was
the
a-
issue.
yeah.
It was a great tour yesterday. Thank you, guys.
Amy, good luck. And I was wondering if you had any update on the grant program, or is that something can be postponed until August?
The field grant,
Right.
August,
they called us for a few questions,
which is good.
yeah, which we answered, and,
Late in August, yeah. Amy,
I said it already. Thank you all.
Johnny,
No, appreciate everybody's enthusiasm. Without you guys asking good questions, it's just Dan and I getting excited in our two offices.
very awkward.
Kemp,
Thank you to Amy, thank you to this committee. Appreciate everything that you've done, Amy, to take this project this far.
Dan,
Thank you, Amy. Miss that.
Yeah, we will miss you, Amy.
Yes.
Thank you.
thanks.
But I have a couple questions. We've gotten some feedback. You and I have talked about this before, about an office for the music, our Emmy award winning, band leader. Is there an office for the two guys that lead the bands?
So, there's an ensemble room off of the main band room, and there's the band room. There are desks in each. They don't have private offices, but the middle school and the high school will share those two spaces. The idea would probably be that one of them claims one desk as his own and her own, and the other one claims the desk as their own. But throughout the day, one might be teaching in the ensemble room, one might be teaching in the band room, and vice versa, depending upon the scheduling. But they will both have access to both of those desks and how they,
She knows more about it than I do.
yeah.
I don't even know what an ensemble is. So.
That's when they teach the small groups. So the large band for both the middle school and the high school will meet at different times in the same band room
Gotcha.
based on scheduling
Follow
of
that.
classes. The ensemble room will be used for teaching small groups and for, other band related classes. Is more of a small group size rather than the large.
Let's hear what you know. What do you know?
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt everybody's meeting, but thank you for all the great work that you're doing. I find it very troubling that the band director who has actually been in it, I mean, all of our teachers are worthy, and I know that we've lost some educators for not having their own classrooms. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to dispute any of that. What's done is done. But I think that we need to figure out a way to give the band director his own room, his own office space. And if anybody's ever been in a band or been a part of a band, the director's office space is so vitally important. And it is not about sharing. Like they're in there all of the time. He will leave, obviously, to teach a couple of different classes, but that's his home life. And I just think that it's a complete disrespect to somebody that has had a national band recognized for our district for the last, I don't know how many years at this point. And we can't find him the opportunity to give him his own space. With $185 million, I think we're doing something wrong. Specifically in this topic.
Well, you'd be surprised how quickly 185 million goes.
No, I wouldn't. You keep asking me for more.
That's why you should be surprised.
We do have, we should, and, should take note of this and look back on all of the programming meetings. We certainly met with the band director a number of times, and I'm certain he understood at the time what was being provided. So if that's not enough anymore, or if there's been a reconsideration of it, we'll certainly be able to accommodate a space. There are many spaces dedicated to music department in this building because it is so robust and it is a great program. So there are separate music instrument storage rooms for both high school and middle school. There's percussion storage rooms separate for both middle school and high school. There's a music storage room. There's the band room, the ensemble room. And
Is there also a
There's-
uniform storage?
there's
room?
also uniform storage room, thank you.
And
So
the
there's,
music, you know, the.
and then there's separate other music spaces for world drumming, for keyboarding, music technology. So amongst all of those spaces, I'm certain that there's room for a permanent desk if you don't feel like the ensemble room is appropriate.
I think it's more permanent. I think it's about personal space. And when you have somebody that lives in a building as much as Mr. S lives in a building, and it's no disrespect to any other educator that's in that building. But he is there from 7 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 10 or 11 o'clock at night. That is his home. His office right now has a couch in it because that's where he sleeps when he can have a half an hour for a nap. I mean, we need to do better for this.
And the furniture plans.
No, but I'm just saying, that's what's in his space and with all due respect to maybe him not making waves for the fear that he's always been shafted, or the music department in some regard has always been shafted over the years. I just think that we need to really pay attention to that. And I do believe that he needs his own space, and it's not about sharing. He doesn't know I'm here asking for this, so I don't want this to be a reflection on that. It's just, when we looked at the plans last month, I asked the question too.
Mhm.
And it was the one thing that stuck out to me, that there was no office space for, a national renowned band
So
director.
there
I
is.
just, and I don't want to lose another educator because of something like that.
Yeah, no, we don't want you to either. And we're certainly gonna accommodate whatever the needs are for the school. As a policy, there hasn't been private offices for teachers in the building. So we'll just have to also make sure that doesn't
Yeah, snowball.
snowball, right? That's a good point. But we should, absolutely look at those spaces that do accommodate all of the music program. Because I think there's a lot of square footage in the building is dedicated to the music program. So I'm confident that there's room for the, maybe autonomy and privacy that person needs.
Does the athletic director have an office?
The athletic director does have an office. They don't have a teaching space,
But they have a private office.
right? That's different than a teacher though.
But Mr. S is
But
just
he's
that.
essentially
He's the music director.
Yeah.
You don't have to convince us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ally,
it just wasn't in the program. I mean, if it were, we would have had the office.
Ally.
I wanted to speak in favor of that, only because I've had the opportunity to interview Mr. S for his Grammy submissions over the past 2 years. And some of the things, I interviewed probably 10, 15 students along the way. And part of his teaching success is the ability for students to come to his office, to share concerns, to have private lessons. And that's only possible if he were to have that space. Just wanted to have that.
Okay. We'll go to work on it, so.
The changes, there's some other design changes in the works at the moment that are, we talked about last month. And so now's the time.
Yeah.
Because the walls are going up.
Yeah, now is the time. Because those walls are gonna start, we're moving there next after.
No, we go from A to D to C, so.
I got you.
Yep.
Sort of dancing around it.
It's almost 7 weeks before.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, when you ask, and this is not towards Mr. S or anybody else, but changes are a big deal. At this
Well, they
stage,
cost money,
They cost a lot of
you
money.
see the PCOs because, unfortunately, if it's something that wasn't in the original ed spec or in the original, documents, then it represents a cost.
but we'll find something for him.
And just to let you know with Wayne, when I was business manager of umpteen times, and you can ask him, I've probably met every requirement that the PE wanted, that
Yes.
music wanted.
He does fantastic work and we don't want him shortchanged in any way.
And,
That's all.
just like that, at least when I was there. Those things occurred. So just want to let you know,
Yeah.
they weren't shortchanged in equipment or in anything, so. So,
Well, this, I think they're gonna be very pleased with their portion of this.
correct. Yes.
Um,
And, yeah,
Represents a good amount of area.
Yeah,
And if it doesn't accommodate their specific needs, I think that's.
yeah, I'm sure you guys, this is probably one of the bigger music wings that you've seen
oh, yeah.
No
Right.
question.
by a good margin.
We met with them.
Never seen a bigger room,
Yeah,
the band room itself is
yeah.
Right,
really unbelievable.
Yeah. and we've met with both the middle school and high school about their furniture
Yep.
and what they're coming and.
But we'll sneak in a
Yeah.
nice little office
Yeah.
out of there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what a music room looks like. I'm assuming it stores music, like sheet music.
Oh, the sheet music in music room, yes, it's got specialized furniture that rolls out and allows for like maximizing file storage of the sheet music. And sheet music is usually a little larger than typical paper size. So it's
But it's not a
specialty.
large enough
furniture.
room to, with that specialized.
It could
fixtures to-
be, we
to use
we
that
should,
also
you know, we
as
need
a-
to make sure. Our original program described how much music storage they needed, sheet music storage they needed. We should revisit that and make sure that that room is not oversized. That,
Right,
and, you know, certainly any one of those rooms, I think we're gonna just look at all of those rooms, see what.
Yeah.
has
Now,
extra space.
is the middle school band leader gonna say, why not me?
I don't know.
Not me, because
Yeah.
we just
I'm
can't
worried
accommodate
about
everybody.
every teacher. Right, not at all, suggesting that Michelle's point isn't a good one, but. That was kind of an issue, right? That teachers were gonna share rooms, that they weren't gonna have, they were gonna have a common workspace.
It's gonna be a change for all of the academic teachers to not own their own classroom.
Right, and that, right, and that's a little bit. Right, people are anxious about that. I just worry about doing something special for one. Two people.
Well, how many classes does he teach a day?
I know, probably 5, I think
Does
all of them.
Teach a whole load like everybody else?
Yeah, one of them is. Combined, because he has the whole 100 kids.
Yeah.
at lunchtime, but.
Well, listen,
Take a look at it.
well, we're gonna take a look at it and the athletic director tells me, when you start winning more games like Wayne does, you can have more space. The guy's deserving. He's deserving and I guess you can make the argument he's wearing more than one hat.
Yeah.
Right? He's not only a teacher for 5 days, 5 classes a day, he's doing all of that other stuff. Which we know comes at a large personal sacrifice.
Yeah.
So the guy needs an office, he needs an office. I think what we do is bring him in and just ask him what he wants. Ask him what he needs. What's ideal? Does he want to stand up in a broom closet? Is that enough? Or does he need an office, a big office,
I mean, we met with him during the furniture review just recently.
Yeah.
In that classroom off the side of the library.
yes.
So,
And pull him anytime you want.
yeah, Amanda.
If you're coming to the big city more often.
He
Yeah,
does have a
the
couch
kids,
there.
the kids gave him a new, well, the kids.
Gave him a
bought
new
bought
couch
a couch,
yeah.
didn't they? Yeah.
That was the senior.
So
yeah,
he's got a couch, but no place to put it.
right. That was his senior gift from the students last year.
Well, I think the moral of the story is there is space for it. It's just how private it is or how we accommodate it. It's-
I mean, I think that to the point, right, and like I said, to start the conversation, it's not about pitting one profession or one educator against another one. But there are few educators that are in that building as much as that man is in that building. And that's just not Monday through Friday. I have 2 kids that went through that program. I've spent a good amount of time with him as some of the folks around this room. He doesn't go home. And I can tell you when he goes home, because he drives past my house and it's 2 or 3 hours after everything else is done. And he's a mom of 125 kids or dad or both. And I think that we need to really not put aside his accomplishments and what he's done for our school system and our kids.
We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I got, oh.
No, sorry.
He was only on question one.
Another one for you, Ken. On the second floor of the B wing, as you come down the corridor towards the only stairwell that's done, there's a window there. And it looks smack dab into a rooftop unit. And I can't stand it.
I'm aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
We have it on our radar.
we actually noticed it when we did a building walkthrough after one of these meetings.
I don't know.
Last month.
That's months.
I don't know if that happened
Yeah.
anywhere else.
It doesn't, I've seen it.
The window to the.
It's a window to the world.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I think what it's gonna be is a window with frosted
Yeah,
glass
that's all.
at this point. Yeah.
We'll either just put a film on those windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice
You might
to still
even be
to
able
have
to leave
some,
the top of it.
yeah, I think it's still
Right.
nice to.
Well,
allow
it's
natural
L-shaped,
light
right?
to enter.
It's L-shaped, isn't it?
Yes.
The window
Corner.
there.
Mhm.
So you don't need to do this one, I don't think.
No, the one that looks toward the.
The one that just goes straight down,
Yeah.
right,
It's toward the end of the.
right, and I don't think that happens anywhere else.
No, it's the only location.
Yeah, I've noticed it.
Could it be an opportunity for an art class to do like a stained glass type of,
Could be.
but whatever you do in building it wouldn't prohibit that.
That's true, because even if we had frosted glass, it would already be a film
Frosted.
and then anyone could put anything over it and you'd still be able to get the light.
The
through.
light.
That would be nice.
Art.
Good. One for you, what are you hearing about that debris there from the lobby, the gym lobby?
Profile yet,
Gee.
we've gone to a second source. What Mario is referring to is after removal or demolition of the existing awning, the material has to be tested and a profile developed so that they can find an appropriate landfill for it. They went to their hauler to go to determine that location and haven't been getting good response. So we have a pile of debris on the site that we don't want there anymore. So we did get commitment to get a second, second profile, trying to find some other location to take that material.
And related to that, and you've told me, but I don't listen to you usually.
I'll take that. I'll take that in mind now, next time I speak.
I kind
Be
of,
louder.
I glaze over. Were you hoping to do that front lobby wall as far as you could go this summer?
Lobby wall, yes, we will,
Yeah.
so. Again, for everyone's benefit, the last section of foundation between the existing and the new building. Could not place until that awning was removed.
Right,
And so, yes, as we move from Route 8 towards Major Bessie Drive, we'll take that foundation up underneath where the old awning
mhm,
and front canopy, where the old
Right,
canopy used
right.
to be to the front door.
right.
Yep, so that's
So you're hoping to do
about 5 weeks. Yep, so the structural steel to close in the last piece of the building, the gymnasium of the middle school and the team rooms that are adjacent to the existing gym. That structural steel is 9/11. Nice day, 9/11,
Oh,
week of 9/11.
some of that steel was there already.
Oh, yeah, the steel.
Yeah.
We delivered, we needed some of the steel.
Gotcha.
So we had a truck come that had
Not all of it.
a bunch of, just so we could fill a truck.
Gotcha.
So we've about 50% of the steel for that area physically stored on the site. But to answer your question, we don't get to foundations over there for about 5 weeks.
Okay. Well, that'll be done with schools.
The structural steel will be erected while school is in session. Oh, the kids got one more thing to watch go
That'll
up in the air.
That'll be up close and personal to that A building. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's it.
that's all I got.
Dave.
I want to thank Ally for some of those, the media posts of the flyover things and the walkthrough. It's great footage. So thank you for that. And I think it's helpful for all of us to use for just showing what the project's doing and just, on behalf of OMG, I mean, the projects we've done together, it's really been a pleasure to work together. So you've been a great partner and we've worked through a lot of challenges and built a lot of great things together.
Yeah.
So appreciate it.
I'll buy you a beer for that.
What's that?
I'll buy you a beer for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, only because I think you only want from Sue's retirement. That's all.
Sue, anything?
Yeah, I thank you, Dan, and your crew for a tour the other day. It's great. It's so nice. It helps to sit here and understand things better when you go through that sheet that I never really am able to understand. So now I can visualize.
Very
it. So thank you, Amy, and so much. I'm so lovely to get to know you and work with you, and good luck. Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for their time and dedication. I mean, everything from what I've seen watching coming in and obviously taking the tour has been amazing. And that's because of the work of everyone here. So thank everyone for their commitment and dedication, and everything is great. And from my end, looking well, I enjoy coming up. So thank you.
John.
Thanks, Amy. And Michelle is entirely correct about the need of all teachers, music teacher included, for private space to meet and work with kids and maybe get their own work done. We don't have enough classrooms to share. They're not going to be able to find empty classrooms to work. And Sue is entirely correct about the impact on morale of doing this.
Yeah, so there are two, I just want to point out to your point, there are two rooms, we call them telephone rooms, but they're the size of a small office inside each faculty workroom. And there are 5 faculty workrooms total over the middle school and the high school. So 10 private offices that the teachers can utilize at any time for those meetings that you're talking about with students, or if they need to make a phone call to parents, or if they need to make a personal phone call, so that they're separated from the teacher workroom, but still within that suite. So hopefully they'll get used to having that instead of their own classroom during their planning time. And hopefully that,
I'm pretty sure that sounds better than it will really work.
everything's growing pains, but unfortunately, and Kemp, I think you're gonna say this, but this, we talked about this in 2019, probably when we were designing. The state does not allow for the square footage that it used to. And
That's really,
in every new school that we have built in the past 10 years,
At least.
I
was gonna say,
we're going to this model.
in addition to those small rooms, there are also, any number of resource rooms throughout the building that could be scheduled as well,
And conference.
in conference rooms. For those types of interactions.
we love to have everybody have their own room.
We would have,
It just, the rules have changed, and certainly the costs have changed. So. Change.
the new buildings have all the great bells and whistles and technology, but there's just less square foot per faculty member. Because it goes by.
Once again, no one who actually has ever taught as the design.
Of course.
Yeah,
Right, and set those policies at the state.
Of course.
That's right, no, look, we know that. Oh,
Yeah.
we know that.
Ellen, and
I've already said, I just appreciate, and I'll say it again, all the patience you guys have with us. Because I know there's lots of questions, and not coming from that background, learned quite a bit, but really appreciate the patience. And including us like in the tours and everything, really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Marissa, anything?
Great meeting you.
Michelle?
Oh, well, thanks. First, good luck, and I'm sorry to ruffle the feathers on your way out the door. But it is, there are just certain things that kind of stick out when you're looking at different things. And I want to thank everybody sitting around the table and all the dedication and hard work that you've done. I've done a couple of walkthroughs, and it's just so awesome to see what's happening down the hill from my house, and recognizing that what we're doing is a game changer for not only our students, but for our town. And it's huge. Thank you for not ripping up our track. I didn't want to have to lock myself up out there on that. But to John's point, I can't agree more. And I understand that things are different and that times have changed and we've evolved as a society and what we need. But I hope that there's a way that we can figure out moving forward. And this is not necessarily for our building folks, but this is more along the lines of logistical as we move forward. That our educators can welcome and be comfortable in the spaces that they have. because I think it's important. You have to be comfortable in your space and you have to know that you do have a space. And I hope that they recognize all the hard work that's gone into that to ensure that we have a beautiful place to educate and work. So thank you.
Robin?
Amy, best of luck. Thank you in your endeavor, and I really enjoyed working with you last year more closely and the team. So we won't miss you. Good luck. And that's it. Thank you.
Ali, anything?
Amy, thank you so much for everything. Really miss you. Lots of luck and yeah, I'm sure you'll be stalking the progress with, there'll be plenty of drone footage moving forward and lots of videos as well, so.
I don't live far.
I'll be trying.
I know all that technology works. I'll be.
Yeah.
And Kim has my cell phone
I'll put
number.
her links to all of it.
We will do another walkthrough,
Yeah.
come third week of September or something like that, whenever Dan thinks it's a good time.
Yeah.
Although I think that's good.
Anytime you want to do, it's all good by us. You look back at our date in September.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next meeting is August 17th. Just let you update on the furniture. We had a brief meeting before with Amy and Kemp. We have some dates and we may need a joint meeting in September, late September, to approve all of the furniture to go to the state. That's a tentative date, but it may be beginning of October, but because we want to, as we're moving the date of the kids moving in earlier, we want to make sure we can go out to bid and so forth. So further discussion later. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn at 6:23?
So moved.
John, second. Pat. Discussion. All in favor? I opposed. Okay. Have a great summer until August.